but, I wonder whether it might be useful now to start thinking about some of the practical examples to bring this to life for people and what we're doing in businesses. We could perhaps come to communities at the end because we'll have some good things to talk about. I was going to give a couple of examples of how we're applying, sustainable finance, responsible investing thinking in areas that might not necessarily immediately be thought of as, why would you be investing sustainably here? So 2 examples are actually mines. And I was lucky a couple of weeks ago actually to go and almost do a due diligence audit of a mine in north of Johannesburg. And this mine is a platinum mine. And it's been mothballed because the price of platinum fell, because ironically, the idea was that lots of people were going to buy EVs, so therefore internal combustion engines and the use of catalytic converters, etc. And this is platinum palladium group metal mine. The price fell enormously. Now, of course, things have changed. The EV demand for EV is still there, but it's climbing at a slightly slower rate. And I think more and more people are interested in using hybrids, aren't they? Kind of in between whilst we go on that path. Anyway, this mine, from being mothballed, is being opened again. So, we all know mining, whichever form of mining you do, you're digging holes and creating a lot of mess within the environment. So it doesn't immediately strike as an area that you should be thinking about. But as this is a mine that is being restarted again, first and foremost, it's going to bring 2,000 to 2,500 jobs back to that area. How important is that from a social perspective? Also from a governance perspective, and again, when you start to dig using the word regarding mines, but scratch below the surface, health and safety is key in mining, isn't it? And I walked into the entrance at the mine and there's a big plaque there saying 7 million fatality-free shifts. So this business is very focused on keeping its people safe. And then the final thing I'll mention on that is in South Africa, and we'll have all have read this, that there's been lots of blackouts over periods of time, hasn't there, where electricity, there's just not been enough load or enough electricity to cater for the load demand. So this mine has its own substation from Eskom, which is the utility providing electricity. They've then, because it was so unreliable, they then had to build a diesel generator, which, as we all know, is not going to be the most carbon friendly in terms of emissions. And of course, we're in a world now, going back to resilience, where the price of diesel is going up because of what's happening in the Middle East. So this team is potentially looking at using a solar panel solution to power the mine. So all of a sudden, you've got several issues around sustainability which are critical to the performance of that mine. And, for me, that's bringing sustainable finance or sustainable considerations to the commercial viability of an entity. Now, I've got another example to give.
But it's such a good example because, when people who aren't close to sustainable finance hear about an investment in a mining company, what are you doing? You can't be doing that because it's extractive, right?
That's it.
But there's, to put it simply, good mining companies and less good, right?
That's right.
And, especially when the mining is for something that's going to contribute to the sustainable finance efforts, EVs, etc., then, that's essential for the shift to a low carbon economy, right?
It is. And exactly right. And on a very similar theme, another mine as an example, which is a mine in Canada, which is producing graphite or just about to start producing commercial loads of graphite. And that example is quite interesting from a sustainable finance viewpoint because it is right next to a hydroelectric facility. So all the power is clean. So that's a great example. Canada, as with a lot of North America, the indigenous population there have been consulted around where it's going to be built, jobs available for that community and the wider community. So again, a big positive there. And what is being mined is graphite, which is absolutely essential for batteries, battery storage, energy storage, and the whole energy transition story. So going back to your point, it's extractive, but there's thinking around those sustainability issues, which for us makes it an attractive investment.
And I'll just comment on because you mentioned the mines in South Africa. I know, and I've been lucky enough to meet quite a number of people from South Africa who work in Jersey now.
Yes.
And every one of them I've met is so committed and knowledgeable about sustainable finance, right? Yeah. And there could be a number of reasons for that, but often when you start discussing it, it's sustainable finance to them and the efforts around sustainability aren't, you know, altruistic reasons and nice to haves, right?
Yeah.
It's so essential to the daily lives there, you know, because you mentioned like the blackouts, how close they are to the nature there, you know, and there's times where there's, like I said, the blackouts, but also severe water shortages, right? And I'll probably get this rhyme or this song right that they're saying that I won't sing is they even have times when they were at school and there was rhymes that you had to learn that was sort of like, if it's yellow, let it mellow.
Yes.
Right? So you don't flush the toilet then, right? And it's
such a precious commodity.
Such a precious commodity. So they're closer, they're on the edge of where it really makes a difference.
Very real, isn't it?
We're so sheltered here in Jersey that we see it as something that may happen in the future and may affect us. They know, right? And so they're more invested in it and a lot more committed to it. Well, certainly some of the ones I've met.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and again, it links into, you know, everything today in our lives is linked to artificial intelligence, the digital revolution that's underway. But, you know, all of that is incredibly reliant on physical resources, be it copper, be it nickel, be it graphite, all these, and they have to be mined, don't they? So how those two come together is, you know, I think for me, in an idealistic world, when I would have first started thinking about sustainable investing, you wouldn't have gone near fossil fuels, you wouldn't have gone near any kind of mining entity. As you, again, explore things further, you realize how essential that is. The resources are very important. So it is a viable investment place for us.